Fast food. Fast food. Muck. McDonald's, etc. It's amazing how many people cram these fast food outlets because it looks tasty, and as with McDonald's, the kids get a free toy. And they wonder then why they get so ill. Because Satan has set up these junk food places. But there's something far more dangerous than rubbish food outlets. The Messiah in Mark chapter 7 said, it's not what goes into your mouth that defiles you, but what comes out of your heart, in Mark chapter 7. Beautiful chapter that. As with junk food outlets, he set up a religious forum, from Constantine especially onwards, known as the church system. We have now 41,000, get this, 41,000 sects in Christendom alone. And yet, when you read the Apostle Paul's words in Galatians 5, he speaks about the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, kindness, goodness, faith, long-suffering, mildness, self-control. On the other hand, he says, is this: fornication, etc. And, notice this, sects, divisions. Sects, S-E-C-T-S, are a work of the flesh, opposed to the fruitage of the Spirit. Paul mentioned in 1 Corinthians about people saying, well, I belong to Apollos, I belong to Peter. And Paul said that Christ is divided to you. Is divided between you. Who are Paul? Who are Cephas, Peter? And yet we see the reciprocation now, 2,000 years down the road from the death of the apostles, almost, of this amalgamation. But they don't stick together. You've got people believing the Trinity, people believing in the one God, which I do, and you look at the history of Christianity, so-called, where people were burnt alive and tortured, men, women and children, because they wouldn't believe in the Trinity. Look at the history of the Catholic Church, excuse the pun, the Spanish Inquisition. Disgusting filth. No wonder it says in Revelation 18, in her was found the blood of the prophets, the holy ones, and all those slaughtered on the earth. Religion is scum. The devil's made you believe, if you go to a building with its pretty scenario, you are part of a congregation. You see, church is a corruption of the Greek word ekklesia, which means called out ones. There is a word used twice in the Greek scriptures, kyriakon, describing a building, if you like, a congregation. But ekklesia means called out. Then you go back to Revelation 18, I mentioned earlier, verse 4. Get out of her, my people, unless you want to share in her plagues. The Apostle Paul said the Father does not dwell in man-made, so-called holy buildings. I saw a post on Facebook today about a church in Australia that was burnt to the ground. Why? Because it harboured a paedophile priest who was having sex with choir boys for nearly a decade. and it was burnt down, probably an arson attack, and people were clapping their hands because a lot of those choir boys committed suicide. Now, I think that's a taste of what's to come. In this country, UK, Henry VIII torched the monasteries, and the monks went into those buildings seeking sanctuary and were torched alive. You see, the Father is going to put the thought, probably through the UN, to get rid of religion. When you look at the world scene, ISIS, etc., it's a kind of catalyst that may force the UN to say, enough's enough, you come under our umbrella, right, a political system, because religion is the cause of all the aggravation on the earth. And don't forget, our Father destroyed his own people's temple twice. Once by the Babylonians, Nebuchadnezzar, twice by Titus, the Roman general. Remember that, because they went into idolatry. So don't think you're going to be safe because you belong to a church system. And let's get this straight. Most churches of Christendom proclaim Messiah is God, which is absolute blasphemy. When the Messiah asked Peter, who do you say I am, Peter? Well, Peter said, well, some say you're John the Baptist come back, some say you're Elijah. He said, well, what? Okay, Peter, who do you say I am? He said, you are the Mashiach, the Messiah, the Son of the living God. And the Messiah replied, blessed are you, Peter, because flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father in heaven has revealed this to you. Has that been revealed to you? The Messiah is the Son of God, not God come down. You see, Satan set up a very clever system in pagan systems. For example, the Greeks believed that Zeus, the king of the gods, so-called, came down and had sex with a woman. So no wonder the pagans accepted the so-called church in the 3rd century, the Council of Nicaea, etc., under Constantine. It was welcomed in the same way they welcomed Christmas, Easter, and all its pagan trappings, because it conformed to their ideology. The Father does not dwell in man-made bricks and mortar. If you are part of the body of Christ, you are the ecclesia, the congregation. Church is a bad word. It's not a biblical term. Are you called out? Are you willing to stand alone? Very few are, because they know they'll lose family and friends. Come out of her, the whore system, Babylon the Great, unless you want to share in her plagues. The early apostles came out of a Jewish system and suffered for it at the hands of their brethren. Are you prepared to suffer? To carry your cross, your torture stake, daily? To be brave? The Father is dealing with individuals, not those who go en bloc to some kind of religious man-made structure. Think about it. Shalom.